A very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord, and in our news, Barbadians will be able to hold foreign currency accounts from early next month. A delegation leaves the island soon to recruit nurses from Ghana. Efforts to help men battle the bulge. And in sports, Barbados flag raised at the Pan Am Games, which start tomorrow.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
And in our top story, from next Friday, August the 2nd, government will significantly ease foreign exchange controls. This will see resident Barbadians being able to hold foreign currency accounts. Now, it's a move that is also expected to foster greater business and investor confidence. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strachan, made the announcement today at a post-cabinet briefing. And joining us to tell us more about those changes is our Ryan Broom. Good evening, Ryan. What can you tell us about those revelations?
Good evening, Lisa. Good evening, viewers. Well, according to Minister Strachan, having managed to achieve a level of stability in the island's economy over the past year, this new relaxation of the island's exchange controls signals an effort to regulate with an emphasis on growth.
Of course, the funds that will be deposited into these foreign exchange, foreign currency accounts cannot be purchased, obviously, from the local domestic access of foreign exchange. And so therefore, for persons who are doing business and for whom may have investments abroad or what have you, the ability for them to hold or as a safe place with respect to that foreign exchange, they'll be able to do so. In the past, foreign exchange accounts always had a 70% surrender value, which meant that whatever money you put in, 70% would have been converted into Barbados dollars, and you only were allowed to keep 30%. We are in the process going to eliminate that surrender value.
Barbadians who travel are also in for some good news, because from next week, the traditional Barbados $7,500 allowance equivalent is being raised significantly.
We're saying now we are going to increase that to $20,000 because, as we said, normal service resumes, and therefore we want to be in a position to signal to Barbadians that you no longer have to be running about Barbados asking persons if you got foreign US or you got this, which has become, unfortunately, a feature. And the reality is we want to give the citizens the assurance that the conduct of your personal business when you go on holiday or to visit family overseas or for medical treatment or whatever, that access to foreign exchange is there, and therefore it has to be done in an orderly fashion.
And of course, the commercial banks will be involved in this, and they will be under central bank regulations. And finally, Minister Strachan adds that there will also be a cap placed on the foreign exchange fee to $100,000 as an incentive for investors who engage in major capital transactions, such as the sale of properties and similar investments, to avoid creating a disincentive for investment in Barbados. But meanwhile, Lisa, we were also told that Cabinet has approved a recommendation recently made by Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley for the establishment of a national honor that is at the same level of the existing Knight and Dame of St. Andrew designations. Ms. Mottley revealed that prospective honorees will have the option of choosing one or the other.
This one to be established by Act of Parliament and not by letters patent by Her Majesty. But this one would be the Freedom of Barbados, which would be after the National Hero of Barbados, which is in a class of its own. It would be the highest national award at the same level as the Knight or Dame of St. Andrew, which is the highest local award. And we agreed that similarly, a person can opt for either, therefore, the Knight or Dame of St. Andrew or the Freedom of Barbados.
And the Prime Minister adds that the Chief Parliamentary Council is already drafting the bill, and it should go to Parliament in another week or so. And just as a footnote to that, now another disclosure coming out of the post-cabinet press briefing is that a 6-member team is preparing to travel to West Africa to start the recruitment of Ghanaian nurses. Minister of Health and Wellness, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostick, says the contingent will be in Ghana between the 13th and 26th of August. It will be led by the chair of the hospital's board and will include the hospital's director of nursing, along with a representative from the Barbados Nurses Association.
We are looking to recruit about 78 persons initially. Not that we are not going to interview several more, But that is the initial numbers that we're looking at. We will come back and see how that works, because obviously there's some things that have to be put in place for those nurses, accommodation and all that. They would have to settle in, and as long as we are then able to satisfy ourselves that all is well, and then we also have to make a request to the Ministry of the Public Service, because we are requesting additional positions that do not exist at the moment.
Meanwhile, the health minister also announced that cabinet has approved a draft policy document which will guide organ transplantation services in Barbados. He says this is something doctors have been asking for some time. Well, that's it for now, Lisa, on all that happened at that post-cabinet press conference. It's back to you.
That's a lot of information, Ryan. Thank you so much, as always. In news now from the Upper House, when the Data Protection Bill is made into law, Barbadians will be afforded the right to sue for misuse of their personal information. Minister of Innovation, Science and Smart Technology, Senator Kay McConney, says the bill has been designed to the highest standards for data protection. Senator McConney was wrapping up debate on adopting the report of a joint select committee of Parliament on the data protection bill. She says data in this digital age has value like it never had before.
What is wonderful as a message, and as the message in this bill, is that this value belongs to you. We own our data. And I think that that is one of the single most important messages that I would want people to carry away. When people have your data, other entities, other organizations, the data does not belong to them. It belongs to you. And therefore, because you own your own data, you have ownership rights.
And opposition Senator Caswell Franklin has welcomed the bill, noting that it is a very good first step.
I am grateful that government is mindful and leading the way, because we are now leading in the Caribbean and in this area. And I like my Barbados leaders. You know, I remember one thing we used to lead in cricket, and now we follow so far behind them. Funny, but I like being Barbados lead. I'm proud when Barbados takes the lead. We're not going. This bill is not perfect, sir.
Investigations are continuing into yesterday's apartment fire that claimed the lives of a father and his 2 young children in Warrants. The deceased have been identified as 42-year-old Cornelius Barrow and 22-month-old Riordan Barrow and 8-month-old Rhea Barrow. Autopsies are set to be conducted. Barrow was an English teacher at the Coleridge and Parry School in St. Peter. The Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training has expressed deep regret at the death of one of its teachers. The ministry organized counseling for staff and students of that school today. Meanwhile, the Coleridge and Parry School is indicating that no textbooks will be distributed tomorrow. Management at the school says that individuals who were scheduled to collect books today and tomorrow can do so on Monday, July 29th between 9 a.m. and midday. The school apologizes for any inconvenience brought about as a result of the unforeseen circumstances. Local entertainer Omar McQuilkin has been granted bail after being arrested and charged with unlawfully and maliciously wounding Romario Cave. The incident took place on Sunday. The 33-year-old Emerald Park St. Philip resident appeared at the Whole Town Magistrates Court yesterday before Magistrate Wanda Blair, where he pleaded not guilty. He was granted bail in the sum of $5,000 with one surety, and he is set to reappear in court on November the 28th. Well, this story should be of particular interest to Barbadian men battling the bulge. A number of them have been getting help reaching their goals through the Barbados Family Planning Association and Carl Alf Padmore's lifestyle fitness program. At the end of a 12-week men's challenge, Laurie Loader with the Sanitation Services Authority Anstey Lane was judged the winner, having lost over 40 pounds. The participants from the SSA, the Barbados Fire Service and the National Petroleum Corporation were rewarded with their certificates of participation during a ceremony at the Parkinson School. Calypsonian Stetson Red Plastic Bag Wiltshire was also recognized for his assistance in mentoring the men in that program. Mr. Padmore says millions are spent every year by the government on treating non-communicable diseases.
The government of Barbados spends over $30 million on NCDs, 30 million. We boast that we are the amputee capital of the world, but that's nothing to boast about. The amputee capital of the world means that we just cut off your limbs. And it's nothing that we should feel proud about. It means that we have a problem. And the problem is we are ingesting too many sweets. We make our tea, lots of sugar. Lunch, lots of sugar. 2 soft drinks.
A medical director of clinical services at the Barbados Family Planning Association, Dr. Rashida Daisy, says the most grueling part of weight loss is actually the maintenance phase.
Although many people are able to lose weight, less than 20% of persons are able to maintain it a year from now. So if you look around, that means that maybe about 4 or 5 of you guys will look this way next year. But I don't think so. I don't think that the Goldman Group is going to fall into that trap. I think by this time next year, 100% of the graduates here and all of the participants would have been maintaining this weight or actually lost some more weight.
A local church leader and regional governmental spiritual advisor says he's had enough of what he describes as persistent harassment whenever he and his family or members of his church arrive at the Grantley Adams International Airport. Prophet Janelle Brown says it all started a few months ago when he returned to Barbados from Trinidad, along with a young man who has been trying to turn his life around after being involved in crime. Prophet Brown says at the time, a police officer approached the young man and called him by his alias and tried to single him out for interrogation. He says when he intervened and told the officer he was responsible for the young man, he was met with a rough and abrupt response. Prophet Brown says the harassment has persisted.
This is the second time coming through the Grantley Adams Airport. 2 months ago, we came through the Grantley Adams Airport with Jason Morgan, a young man that's known in society on the other side of the fence. And because we had to open our mouth for Waver and stood up for him in terms of the treatment, the harassment that he got at Grantley Adams Airport in May, it seems to Waver that this feud of Waver has continued to Waver 2 months after in Grantley Adams Airport, again with a set of police, but not this time with CID, but actually the task force this time has been pulling us over for no reason, Waver at the Grantley Adams Airport.
Prophet Brown says while the continued harassment is of major concern to him and his family, one of the larger issues relates to how the young people whose lives they are trying to turn around are viewing these situations. When contacted, Police Public Relations Officer Acting Inspector Rodney Innes was not able to offer an immediate comment on the matter, but said that he would follow up on those reports.
Sign up today to catch all the major Cropover events live online on cropover.cbc.bb. We've got you covered. Soca Monarch Finals, $53 or $26 US. Pick of the Crop Finals, $62 or $30 US. And Grand Kadooment, $22 Barbados dollars or $11 US. Don't be left out. Log on now to cropover.cbc.bb and book. CBC, taking Cropover to the world.
Regional stories now, and Guyana is training guidance counselors and welfare officers to better detect human trafficking. The training was provided by the Ministerial Task Force on Trafficking in Persons with an aim of preventing schools from becoming fertile grounds for traffickers. We have a report from DPI.
Minister of Public Security and Chairman of the Task Force, Kemrat Ramjatan, said it is important that they understand trafficking can occur in full view yet go undetected. He said it is necessary that those in the education system must be aware of what is involved in the trafficking in persons.
It is all part and parcel of educating our populace to recognize things for what they are. And that comes by training. A lot of people have been asking me why all these training sessions and all of that. It is important. And it is important for those who will be interacting with the children in our school system to also have a grasp of this scourge of humanity, trafficking in persons.
Trafficking in persons, the minister said, is managed like a business enterprise and can negatively affect an emerging economy such as Guyana's.
In the Bahamas now, a justice of the peace has pleaded not guilty to participating in a marriage fraud scheme involving 2 Bahamians and 2 Haitians. Prosecutors are alleging Bahamians have been marrying immigrants in order for them to obtain status for financial gain. We hear more from Eyewitness News.
48-year-old Bradley Smith of Monker Alley off Kemp Road in the red plaid shirt, 24-year-old Haitian national Willie Exama of Mackey Street in the burgundy shirt, 19-year-old Brittany Johnson of Yellow Elder in the bright green shirt, 23-year-old Haitian national Anseline Nicholas of Greenwood Road in the olive green t-shirt, and 19-year-old Bernard Musgrove of Palm Beach Street in the brown t-shirt, all appeared before Magistrate Cara DeVoe Turnquest, accused of being involved with fraudulent marriage schemes. Smith, who was a justice of the peace, was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud by false pretense, 2 counts of fraud by false pretense, 2 counts of attempted fraud by false pretense, 2 counts of abetment to commit fraud by false pretense, 2 counts of abetment to commit fraudulent marriage, and 2 counts of conspiracy to commit a fraudulent marriage. Smith pleaded not guilty to all 12 charges and was denied bail. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services until the 3rd and 4th of October for trial.
Regional grouping CARICOM and its associated institutions have been meeting with the United Nations system to review and discuss cooperation in a number of areas. Chief among them is climate change, as we hear from NTN.
Comprising of many small islands and low-lying, densely populated coastlands, CARICOM has and remains focused on threats from climate change. And it is for this reason that climate change and its adverse effects continue to dominate the community's engagement with international partners. While lauding the UN system for its significant support during Hurricanes Irma and Maria, Secretary General Orwin LaRocque noted that 2 years later, as another hurricane season commences, and not having fully recovered yet from the previous 2, the threat of climate change hangs heavy in the region's consciousness.
As the severity of Hurricanes Irma and Maria demonstrated, there is need for continued advocacy for urgent and enhanced climate action to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels. Since global warming poses an existential threat to our community.
Head of the United Nations delegation Miroslav Janka said, "It is clear that among the many priorities CARICOM and the United Nations share, the fight against climate change is a particularly prominent one." He said Caribbean countries are leading the way on climate change adaptation and mitigation, and the international community should support these efforts by providing the necessary public and private resources.